Hello, you guys. In today's video, I would like to go over some thoughts regarding the Dior allegations about an article that I read a couple weeks ago, I believe, and it's taking me a while to record this because I've had a lot of thoughts, and I literally have my notebook here because I did write some notes and I highlighted some things that were in that article. This article is from Fortune, I believe, and I will link it down below if you want to read some of those items that I'm going to talk about a little bit. But I want to talk about one bag that I had on my wish list from Dior. And this bag, honestly, to this day, I still love this bag. However, I obviously no longer will be purchasing a bag from Dior at this point. But I just want to talk through some of the things that I really found interesting. And I will link some of the pictures of the bags that I'm talking about and just some of the items from the article. So, the Dior saddle bag is the only bag that I've ever wanted from Dior. I wanted it in a specific colorway. I wanted it in like the denim colors, and I wanted it in that monogram. Like, I will link the picture below, but that was the only bag that I loved from Dior. I was never into the Lady Dior. It's just like not my style. It's very ladylike, and I'm more of like sporty, which that's why I never gravitated toward the Lady Dior, which is a very famous bag from Dior. And I think the saddle bag, the re-edition came back in 2019 maybe. I honestly don't remember, but I did appreciate that bag and I love it because it really checked a lot of the things on my boxes, like a shoulder strap, and I love shoulder bags. It also comes in a crossbody. I wouldn't wear it in a crossbody, but that's an option, which makes it and like I think that's why a lot of people would also gravitate toward. But for me, it was the shoulder and just the colorways, and just it was very classic Dior. That's why it was really much on my wish list. However, this article in particular were talking about some of the allegations that were against Dior, a supplier in Dior, so technically not Dior, and the supplier that Dior hired. The allegations were that they employed illegal immigrants, and obviously that's to cut costs, so they wouldn't be held accountable to pay them more. And also, they were talking about some of the health conditions that those employees were facing in that facility, in the supplier's facility, and they had very low safety standards, and they were like employees were living in the facility, which is very much like, how can you really associate luxury with that? Because it's just, that's horrible. Like, that's literally horrible. That's like buying a handbag from Walmart and that costs $10, and you would think that the suppliers would, and probably not, would hire immigrants to slash the cost so that they can make a $2 profit off of this bag. But in Dior, they're literally making some of those bags for thousands and thousands of dollars. We know that they are making profits, so why would you go that route anyway? Is that to even make more profits in a billion-dollar company? That's just crazy to me. Anyway, but what was specifically interesting in this article is that they were saying that the supplier will only be facing the charges, but not Dior. So the supplier that Dior employed will be facing all of those charges in Italy and not Dior, which I honestly think is very disturbing, because coming from a person in supply chain, you do audits, you do supplier audits, you look into the suppliers that you hire, you see what ethical practices that they're doing, you have contracts with those suppliers that they are using ethical practices to make the bags for you or whatever you have them make for you. And if you're not doing that in a billion-dollar company, I don't know what you're doing. So I honestly don't think it's fair that only the supplier are hiring are facing those allegations. Well, I don't want to call fair, but I do think that Dior is very much responsible as much as a supplier, because if you turned an eye on those practices, or you didn't do your due diligence, that means you don't care. So if Dior, a billion-dollar company, does not care, what does that say about the company? You know what I mean? So yeah, so like, yeah, so either like Dior didn't know what that supplier were didn't, or they just didn't do their due diligence, when they hired those suppliers. So either way, I think they're still accountable. And this is why I'm like, if you're a billion-dollar company and you're not doing that, I don't know what else to expect from you, you know? And they haven't commented on any of this allegations, which is very strange because back like a few months ago when Laura Piano were they had the allegations of like basically ripping off all those villagers who were making thousands of dollars of cashmere sweaters for them, and they were getting paid less than $200 as a community whole. And Laura Piano would sell those like cashmere sweaters for $5,000 and $6,000. At least they commented on that situation. But in this scenario, Dior just did not comment at all on this situation. I don't know if they distanced themselves because they're like, oh, they're a supplier, like we can't do anything about it. Yes, you can. You were supposed to do the audits with the supplier. You don't just hire anybody to make thousands of dollars a bag. You should understand what their practices are, have contracts with them, see their ethical behaviors. There are literally so many things you can do as a supply chain to make sure that suppliers that you're using have ethical practices. And I know that because I come from supply chain and sourcing facilities. So it's very strange that they would say, oh, they didn't know about that, or they just, honestly, it's either you didn't know or you didn't do your due diligence and you don't care. So either route, you're still, I think, accountable. And I do, like, honestly, like, I do want to address that. And I want to talk about that because I think it's very, like, I don't know if they think people are stupid at this point, because a lot of people are doing research, a lot of people are educated, they're learning more. So it's just very strange behavior for them to act that way. Also, I just want to say that if you've already spent your money on your bags a while ago and now you don't feel like using them, I think you should use them. You've spent your hard-earned money on those Dior bags, and I don't think if you resell them on the resale market, you're gonna get a lot of money for them, because yeah, I don't think you will. You can try, but if you've already spent your money on items, just wear them. You spent a lot of money on those handbags. You didn't know about this. It was all before this. Don't let this, like, try to like a little bit distance yourself from what happened right now because you purchased them at a time where you didn't know about this, you know? So just enjoy your bags and use them. And yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about because I did think that this article was super interesting, and I will link it below and whatever those commentaries on. Hopefully, like, they would comment on this a little bit and see what the gap was between their supplier and them, and talk about that, and you know, so that everybody else in the industry can learn from that, because I think that's very important. And really, we're buying luxury. I don't think we should be slashing costs, try to pay people $10 or $2, you know, when we know that you're making thousands of profits, you know? So not even thousand, you're making millions of profits, because this is a billion-dollar industry. So yeah, let me know what you think. I will link all those in the bottom below. I'll link the article and some of the bags that I admired from Dior but no longer will be purchasing. And thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye guys.